Okay. Good morning, my vicarious adventure buddy. Welcome to my office. I already started this video and then I pushed the wrong button and ended it. So, um, update from yesterday. I spent a significant amount of time yesterday shredding documents. And so I told you I will let you know about this shredder thing. It was awesome. And just so you know, it is a Amazon Basics document shredder. It just comes like this. This part comes out, and then it has a hook on it that you can set it under the, you can kind of see there. So it stays on the can that I had, and then this side has the same kind of hook. Anyway, it worked great. And I have an entire tote like overflowing of shredded documents. So I'm happy about that, like I said yesterday, because I'll be able to use those that paper to help with padding for instead of going out and buying a bunch of stuff to wrap any of the glass that I have to take. This will help a lot. So, but then I can use it to in the compost bin just to use with the soil and creating, a soil amender or whatever that I'm going to need to use. So, love that. However, what was crazy is I was shredding documents from 2004. Um, and I was even challenged by that, like tax documents and things like that, which I had no idea, I guess. I knew, but I didn't realize how much of that old stuff I really had in there. And what was interesting about it is as I really started to get going on it, I started to feel kind of like this relief. And I believe that those documents and stuff holds energy of the past. And when I started thinking it over, I mean, I had stuff from, the time at the time I was in a relationship. Then it is very cold here. We're supposed to get a cold front, but I'll talk about that later. Um, anyway, it was, I shredded a lot of documents. I was in a relationship around that time, and like my first live-in relationship. And so I actually had stuff of his in there, which is shocking. Um and so yeah, and it's crazy because I graduated in 2002, 2003. I graduated a little bit early, but I can't believe it that I still had stuff in there around that time, from that time frame. And um so that was shocking. But also the kind of energetic freeing feeling I got from it. And by the time I got done with it, I was starting to look around me like, I don't want to take a bunch of stuff with me. I don't want to be packing around old things. If, the people who know me know this, but you probably don't, that I have lived in 7 different states, and I've lived in 2 of those states twice. So I have moved to 10 different states, and that's not including the houses that I've lived in between there. So I am gonna smoke if you would like to join me for a nice puff. Um it's just nicotine stuff. Anyway, um I have moved so many times. The fact that I still had any of this stuff is mind blowing to me, that I've been carrying it around for that long. So I think that there was kind of an energetic release with some of that stuff. Um, Even though it wasn't something I was looking at on a regular basis or wasn't, like invested in, it energetically, and I'm sure there's different views of this. Some might think, oh, it's just paper, but I think energetically that can carry energy. My cat is furious. He wants to go outside, but he really doesn't because it's cold, right? And he gets mad at me because it's cold. He also gets mad at me when I let him out and it's raining. He thinks it's my fault. So anyway, I was happy to get rid of some of that stuff, and some of it, even being as old as it was, I was panicky over it, like, oh no, am I going to need this one day? Will I regret doing that? And I don't know if that's like growing up with people who kind of had the waste not, want not, or mindset, or kind of like if it's because you can get rid of something and then like need it the next day. I really don't know where this thought process came from, but it's something that I obviously have not battled for years. I avoided it. And so as I'm going through this process, it's coming to the forefront, some of these things that I hadn't realized were like there. Anyway, all to say, it made me take a step back and think about some of the other items that I had kind of planned on taking with me, and if I actually want to do that or not. And so some of the thoughts that I had around that were like the desks. I have two desks. I have a desk for my son, a desk for myself, and then I had my best friend's work desk that I later turned into a vanity. And so I have three desks in my house. And it made sense to have that. But I don't think I want to pack that up and take it with me. And I panicked a little bit when I was like, oh no, what if I can't get another one? And so I'm battling this mindset of serious lack mentality. Like, I won't have another one. I won't be able to get another one, which makes absolutely no sense because I can get another desk. So it's concern about not having what I need when I get to where I'm going, or not being able to find it, or having to go buy a new one, and what if I don't have the money for that, which I shouldn't be worried about. So, anyway, it's an interesting process, I think, for me mentally. But then the other aspect is it easier to pack it up and take it than it will be to try to get rid of it here? And that's what I'm coming down to, right? It can be so challenging. And I was talking to a couple friends yesterday about the challenges with trying to sell your stuff online, whether it's on Marketplace or, on, maybe I try to have a yard sale, but then I have to pack everything out there and bring it back in. I was trying to sell a twin size mattress last year, and I had the whole frame with it. It's a fold down frame, so it's a really easy setup. But the mattress is like brand new because I kept the mattress in a everything proof zipper. From the minute I got it in the house, I took the plastic off and put this thing on. So it's never been uncovered. Um and I had people say things like, oh, we want to come and look at it. Now, I had posted pictures, and of course, I might be thinking the same thing. Oh, I want to come and look at it. But I had posted pictures and said it had never been uncovered. And so, in one hand, I can kind of understand that. But for my circumstances, I would have had to drag that thing. I don't want random people in my house. So I would have needed to drag that outside. It had just rained for these people to look at it, which means that they could also, wanting to unzip it and open it and it being rained on out there. And then what if they don't want it? So then it's been exposed now to the rain and the elements. I have to drag it back inside, allow it to dry off, which removes the it's been covered the whole time, thing. But also I'm only one person and trying to drag that thing, which yeah, it's just a twin size mattress, but I'm also 5 foot. So it's taller than me by a little bit. Anyway, realizing if I want to take all this stuff out and have a yard sale out there, it means that I have to pack all that stuff outside. And also, if it doesn't all sell, then I have to pack it back in. Is it really worth it? Marketplaces is unbelievably difficult. And having to put up, I'm like, okay, well, I'll put up there, if you can't come and pick it up in an hour, don't message me. If it's still up there, it's still available. And all of these, you know, don't, it's for the time wasters. What ended up happening with the mattress was I had several of those people and I just waited it out. I ended up seeing a guy post about, he had just moved into a house with his son and they needed stuff. And he was able to come and get it. So I ended up just giving it away because it wasn't worth the hassle, even though the items were like almost new. So it's making me think about, in the future, how I'm buying stuff and what am I being more mindful about the items that I purchase. And also because how difficult it is to get rid of some of the items if you wanted to try to make any of your money back. Now, I've only lived in this house for not even 3 years. It's been 2.5 years. So, several of the things I've gotten from thrift stores. But a lot of the stuff is brand new. Like, I bought my couch brand new. It was like $1,200. And it's a nice, big, poofy couch and I know that I am going to want to sell it for a little bit higher price. So, I probably would still like to try to get $500 from it because I think it's still worth that. It's still a really nice couch. Of course, I will go through and shampoo with the, portable shampooer, and I've taken the cushions off and washed them and things like that too. But the really bigger ticket items like, the washer and dryer, the couch, and stuff like that, yeah, I want to sell those items rather than just give them away and try to make some of that money back because it means I can use that money to go towards replenishing whatever I'm not taking with me. So, this whole part of it is probably the most irritating part, and I think I mentioned it before, but like I got rid of a lot of stuff before moving here and still ended up moving a ton of stuff, and that can't happen again. So, my cat. Um so I have to be really mindful about what I am taking with me and what purpose does it serve when I actually get there. And if I'm going to have to keep how much of it in storage. And I think the other thing that I'm being mindful of is shh, stop it. Is if, I do items have more than one use that make them worth the time and effort of buying them. I don't know. I'm just going through this whole mental process, and this part of it is the most irritating because I really just want to be done with this part and know exactly what I'm taking and be able to go down there, take some stuff with me, and be ready to um, come back and pack up another, pack up a trailer with stuff. So really, I just want this part to be over and I just want to be there so I can start my projects because I'm most excited about that. So just get there and get started. Um, so, it's aggravating and I'm going to try not to talk about this every single day until I get there, but I did get online and look for, properties for a little bit yesterday, and I wasn't too far into that where I was just starting to feel overwhelmed again. One of the things that I think, needing to have power. I really need to have power on the property. I think that's going to be important. And there's a couple places that were saying like power is 0.2 miles, and then another one said about 2.5 miles away. um, I think that I can manage all the other things kind of. The intention isn't really to be totally off grid, but it is to buy property outside of town, not within city limits. And I want to have as little restrictions as possible. I don't want anybody telling me what I need to do. So, um, that being said, because there's some things that I just don't want to deal with. One of those things being like septic. I think I'm gonna have to come up with a couple different ideas, and you have to look into the county and see what they require of you when it comes to that. They have a lot of things on YouTube, DIY septic tanks that I think would be great for simple things like um I like to use when I use cleaner and sanitizer, that's not really like environmentally friendly. But things like bleach. I do like to have bleach in my dishwater and to clean my sink only because I have two very big dogs that are one of them is very slobbery. And if I'm dumping that in the sink, which is my only option right now, um then I want to bleach out my sink before I wash dishes because to me it's not clean. And there are a bunch of natural things that you can do, and I am totally into all the natural things. But this is not something I've been able to talk myself out of. So, having some kind of septic option for, dishwater that has bleach in it or things like that. But as I was looking through some of the different things yesterday, I came across this really cool house build setup that if it was in the right cost or right, um, if it was in my budget, I would love to have it because it's kind of a quick setup, unfoldable item. But what they had in there was an incinerating toilet. And that blew my mind. I had never seen anything like that, and I don't know much about it. But basically, you have a paper liner that you put inside the thing when you go. There's no water. So you have this paper liner that you set in there, and then you do your business, which can only be backside business, right? No liquid. And then it seals that bag, and when it goes down it flushes but not with water. So it drops down into the little tank, and this toilet was like not a large toilet. It was all one thing. It was didn't have a big hole that it drops in. It's like a drawer that it drops in the bottom. And then you push the incinerator button and it fires it like a kiln, I guess, and it incinerates it. And then when you open that back up, however long it takes, it's just ashes. And I love that idea. He did say that it uses a lot of power. And so if you're going to be incinerating for a family of 5 or 6, like it's probably not a good choice. But if you have a family of 2 or 3 and you're not heavy goers, then it might be a good choice. So I know people have done compost toilets, and I have no desire to really do that. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Um, I'm curious to hear other people's take on that. I'm wondering, if you leave it there for 6 months and you're actively rotating it and things like that, could it be used just to amend soil for outer pastures for green grass? I would never use that on my food, and I don't care too much about using my plan. Really would just be scraps, plant scraps and things like that I would be using to amend the soil, along with worm casings and paper organic materials that I would be using in the soil that would go for my garden. But I was watching a video on a guy yesterday who he does, was talking about his own compost, human waste compost. I can't put that on my garden. I mean, there's just no way that I could do that. But I'm curious to hear from, anybody who has any insight on that, because I think it's interesting, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to change my mind on that. Um so just what do you do with it? And where I grew up, we had outhouses, and that was my first thought, like dig an outhouse. Can't do that. Not and apparently they're illegal in New Mexico. There are a lot of places that have cement outhouses, like where I go camping and things like that. But they come and pump it because that big cement thing is the septic. It's like a septic. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not probably going to be able to dig 12 feet down into the ground and actually set in a cement tank in there. Like, oh my gosh. I want to make sure that I would be up on codes and ensuring that I'm not doing anything that would cause problems just for anybody but for myself included. I mean, I don't suppose I would be digging a well house out there or even attempting to do that because it is in the desert. I don't see the water table being high enough for me to actually get a well house at a reasonable cost, at least not initially. So I certainly wouldn't want that in my water or even my neighbor's water. Anyway, I'm just like, what on earth, like, do you do about that? I've watched all the videos and the septic systems. My goodness. I mean, that is the answer. Get a septic system. I think that is the best answer. But when it comes to the amount of work that goes into that and even the cost of that, I'm just like, wow, that is something that would have to come later. That's not something I want to deal with right away. I need to just be able to get situated and get the garden going, and the other part of the financial part, so that I can be able to start, get the greenhouse up and going, I think is going to be my top priority, because then I can be able to have some vegetables this year, but um also have a winter garden, and it still gets cold enough there that you would need to have the greenhouse. So these details of it, I'm just thinking about, what do you do? So if you have ideas, I'm curious to know about them. But I think septic system would be something that needed to come later, and for me at least, I don't know if it's something you can make payments on. I guess that would be better, but even the $5,000 type, I'm not so sure. I mean, I think I would be able to want to run gray water out of the house, just let it run out into whatever, ditch or something like that. and I've already started and using and kind of observing what kinds of more natural products are really good products. Like the Castile soap body wash that I make, I really like. I've been using that now in the shower, which I really like, but I still use regular shampoo and conditioner, and I use a biotin shampoo and conditioner, and I don't really want to give that up. So, the septic system is probably going to be the best bet. And so what is it going to look like, if I went ahead and get a camper? What's it going to look like to be packing the Blackwater tank, each every, couple days a week? That's going to have to happen if I go that route. So I'm just like, oh, this whole waste part is heavily on my mind at this time, where I think there's a little bit of leeway that I can work with, and then there's some things that I can't, So I've watched tons of other people doing what they do and stuff like that. I don't know that everybody talks about the bathroom. I've seen a couple people, I think it's Tiny Shiny Home, yeah. They built their bathroom and they are doing a compost style bathroom, and they set up 5 or 6 bins in their bathroom, and then and so I saw how they work theirs. um Again, I just don't know how I feel about that, but that might be the best route initially. um So I'm definitely thinking that over. I know that when I get there, I just want to set up and get things comfortable so that I can start taking care of the projects and getting that moving right away, rather than worrying about the having a bunch of people out there working. Like, food, shelter, water is the top priority at this time, because I am not buying a house that's already set up. Like, I'm going to have to start from scratch. Anyway, so I would love to purchase an incinerating toilet, though. I think that really would be a great answer, until it burns out. I mean, and even the cost wise, I think I found them. I'm not sure if the incinerating toilet is the same as it started with an M. I was coming across another toilet that started with an M, and I can't remember. And so I'm trying to figure out if that was the same thing, but I wasn't getting the answers I was looking for, as I was just scrolling through um what's it called? Amazon, to try to get an idea of what I could find on there and be able to work with. So yeah. Anyway, fun talk about toilets. So I'm gonna be thinking that over, and trying to figure out a good answer for that I'm comfortable with, and what to do with it and how to get it out of there. But I think on the Tiny Shiny Home, they were saying like you leave it set and you have to go in there and rotate it and stuff like that. And then it breaks down. And I'm sure you have to put like enzymes and things like that in it. And then maybe put more hay or something like that. So I need to understand that a little bit better, the science behind doing that and how that works. And with other things too, you lady issues, or not being able to, I don't know, how the liquid in there and those kind of things too. I just gonna have to do my research more on that. So I would love to have any kind of resources too, if you um I guess if you know about that. Yeah. Yep. So, anyway, I think the next couple days is going to be, we'll see what I come up to talk, what I've got to tell you about tomorrow. But the next couple days, just kind of getting stuff ready to, I think, first of all, what I want to take to donation. I've got already got a huge pile of donation stuff ready to go. And the other part of it is wishing that I had somebody here to help me, because right now I don't. And so I think that's a lot of the challenge for me right now, is that I know that I have to do it all by myself. And that overwhelms me to the point of, like, the struggle part of it. Like, it's really hard sometimes being alone in the fact that, I mean, when I moved in here, my son was with me and he's with his dad at this time. But so everything I was getting in here was to make it a comfortable home, and, his belongings, and, me and my best friend started a small business. And so we were bringing stuff in together, doing a lot of the shopping in together, planning to use a lot of those items for work related stuff. And now it's like, no, I'm not going to be doing that. um I have not only going to lose out on the money part of that, but now I'm not able to use that stuff, and I need to just get it moved out. So I'm feeling frustrated about that I and what you bring in over a period of 2.5, 3 years, versus trying to get it out of here within a couple months. And anything big I had help with bringing in. So, um, that part is difficult. So, um, you know, I haven't made close friendships with anybody here really, and nobody that I would trust to be in my house helping me alone. So there's that part. And so yeah, just a little bit of a challenge when it comes to that. But that is where I'm at. Um anyway, yeah. Let me know what you come up with about the toilet, any resources or ideas that you have come across that seem to be a good solution, because I need to do some research on what will really work for me and what I'm willing to do when it comes to that. But ultimately, I think, yeah, I'm going to have to get a septic tank. I did look into building my own with like a 275-gallon one, and then having that, you do a smaller one or whatever going out. But and then I think they could be able to come pump that if it's legal though. So, and then the perk test and what that could potentially look like. So it's just a lot to think about, I think, in that aspect. Um, and the perk test apparently can be pretty expensive. So also that. So, anyways, okay. Well, I will talk to you again soon, and I hope you have a great day. Until next time, bye.